Hello and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3 and Black Ice. And we're doing something a little bit different today. I have the head or lead mod developer of Black Ice with me today. I have OMG. And we're going to be going over some of the changes upcoming in the latest version of the mod, which we're going to be christening. And I'm going to pass over to you, OMG. Which version number is this?
12. Hello, it will be version 12.
And OMG, do you want to just introduce yourself for those that maybe haven't spoken or, haven't spoken to you directly or haven't listened to a video where we've both kind of done something together before?
Oh god, I'm not prepared for this. I'm playing this game for like 14 years. I actually had to do the math, and modding it since 2016. And I guess that's it.
Well, this is where you plug your YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah, go to my YouTube channel. I have Germany campaign recently, in which I have won, as opposite to you. Yeah.
Oh, you've won. Okay, I see that. You're grinding the salt in my wounds. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am.
Yeah,
no, but
good.
actually, your campaign was like far more useful when it comes to kind of balancing the game. So.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to be of help.
Yeah.
So the key thing that we're going to be going over today on this one is a bit of a look at some of the major changes and also some of the smaller changes. Now, I've booted up a UK campaign just to have something visually interesting on the screen, and I can talk through a few of the things as we go on the map here with OMG. So, OMG, I'm going to kind of pass it over to you to talk about the first thing on the list here, which is map textures and a little bit on unit mods, but there's more to this map textures than kind of first appears. So please take it away.
I assume you have like simplified terrain map mode clicked.
It's as if you know me.
Yeah. You're simply predictable.
Very much so.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's like a bunch of new colors. Maybe not in the UK specifically. In UK, there are like.
I've taken a nice trip to Austria.
Yeah, go to Austria or some more interesting place than UK, which would be like other place in the world. Yeah, but like Austria, you said. Okay, let me scroll my screen to Austria. Yeah, you have this like weird green. You have like other shade of. I think it's actually blue.
Teal.
No idea.
Teal.
Oh,
let's call it teal.
It's teal.
So we've got like I
just learned a new color.
So just to look at it, we've got like a mountain woods, we've got a mountain forests, we've got a hill woods, we've got hills.
All those terrains are at you probably know by default because people play this game or not. Are new terrain types because it was like a year and a half ago. I was like playing, I think, Germany game, and I don't remember what province I was attacking, but I was like, that doesn't seem right. I don't remember like whatever terrain being here when I visited this place or something like that. And I actually checked like on Google Maps, and it turned out that terrain in this one particular province was like horribly wrong. Like, let's say in the game it was plains, and in reality it's like 4,000 meter mountains.
Yes. Okay.
And one thing led to another, and I started checking other provinces, and it turned out that quite many of them were wrong, even in Europe. So it's not like someone who was making the map was like doing, I don't know, Patagonia was it was 1 a.m. was tired and he just slapped planes there. But important places are also wrong. Like, I actually didn't knew that before.
Yep.
But there are like slight mountains behind Maginot Line, which are now represented. If you like, if you.
Yes. So we've got some mountain forests behind Strasbourg.
Yeah, which actually is, if you think about that, mountains with forests are horrible terrain to fight.
Yep.
Yeah, so now it's in. So
and And if we just look at like the Ardennes region, just for something a little bit interesting here, we've actually got, rather than just like hills, which I think a couple of these were in the previous edition, now we've got like
Yeah.
hills, woods, hills, forests, and this is to probably more accurately represent, the fact that the Allies thought this was impassable. But with the right tactics and things and the right unit compositions, you're going to be able to push through here like you would do, and to replicate that kind of blitzkrieg attack. Not that Germany needs much help to beat France in Black Ice.
Yeah, well, that's completely different topic, but
Yeah.
just small heads up, mountaineers won't be as great in woods anymore because, well, woods are also in plains, so why would they be?
Yeah.
Use them in mountains. That's what they are for.
So just kind of touching on that, then, is there an infantry type that you want for forests? Is like light infantry now the kind of way to go for that type of terrain?
Light infantry got like those like all difficult terrain, like in quote marks difficult terrain, buffed comparing to any other type of infantry. So they should be the best in terrain like this. That is like kinda like infantry will obviously will be the best in like plains, normal hills, this like kinda easy terrain. Mountaineers are now basically, well, mountaineers, like use them in the mountains, like
Yes.
that's what they are for. And light infantry hopefully will fill that gap between, so like hills, like forests, terrains like that. But unfortunately, it's light infantry, so it will still suffer from all the problems that light infantry suffers from.
Okay, and just kind of looking around the map a little bit more then. So I can see we've got like swamp and we've got marsh in the Soviet Union in like the Pripyat marshes area. So we've got some like extra variations in like that like marshy terrain. And it looks like swamp is slightly worse than marsh terrain to work through. It's slightly more difficult.
Yeah, because, well, swamp is technically marsh with some trees on it, so...
Okay,
I
and
just clicked on one province and there's literally a province called Pietrykau that has like urban picture on it.
okay,
And it's swamp, so yeah.
and
There are still some fixes to do.
okay, and then just going into like the Far East then, because I think there's some interesting things over here. So there is one change I've already suggested, which is you've got highlands in India, and I've already made a joke saying that we need to put highlands in Scotland because literally it's called the Highlands. So I think the mountains is becoming highlands. Just
the problem is, like, I actually checked that since we talked, and the highlands in Scotland are basically like hills or mountains. And those provinces that are plains are actually quite low above the sea, so they kind of have to be plains.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Which is like, I was like, but I want to put highlands there.
You could put low hills.
Oh god, yet another terrain type.
But just looking over the list, I mean, India, I've got to say that one of the things you might be noticing, kind of the viewers at home here, is the map looks really nice. Like the simplified terrain map mode and the terrain map mode actually with the changes on, looks really nice to kind of, I would say, like look at now. And and the multicoloredness of India is really, and China as well, and into like Malaya and kind of Burma and things is really cool. But I can see that there's some jungle things. Is that what you're about to get into?
Almost.
Yes.
To be honest, with the map looking pretty, you actually have to thank like Dave and Tanchowder for this, because I did most of the work, but I wouldn't if they wouldn't point out that the initial version of the map looked like shit. Because I'm not very like how to put it in
artistically minded, stylistic.
Yeah. I if it would be like, if I would be making this only for myself, the map would literally be those like, military symbols for terrain. So the like mountains would be those like tiny triangles.
Wasn't there a version of the mod that had them as tiny triangles, if I remember correctly? Going zonks back. Wasn't there like a tiny triangle thing? I remember something like that. It was
before 8.5.
Ah, you see, now I'm demonstrating how old I am, viewers.
Yeah.
with how long I've been playing this for. Yeah,
Because
it's just-
yeah, if I recall, Marneman did new textures for 8.5 or
yes.
8.0. Now I can't like remember exactly which.
But we digress. So just
Yeah.
going into like the jungles and things, then this is a really pretty part of the map, to be honest with you, and I can see that jungles, we've got like different types. We've got like jungle hills, but we've also got like normal jungle, and I think there's something else as well. What's the light green? Yeah.
Forest and woods.
Yes, that's it. So
Yeah.
I guess the thing that I want to ask about jungle is it a nightmare to fight in? And I'm assuming it's a nightmare for both sides.
Yeah, I'll just hover over terrain modifiers.
Yes.
It gives like penalties to absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Attack, defense, movement, attrition is horrible. Because well, it was horrible area to fight in. Everyone hated that. Attackers, defenders, like it was pure misery for everyone involved. And you didn't really had like battles that ended up in like tens of thousands of dead over a span of few hours. And with previous terrain modifiers in jungle, this is exactly what was happening. The defense modifiers were really high, attack penalties were really high, and it resulted in like defenders losing like 3 people and killing 13,000.
Yeah, so I mean, for people that have watched my UK campaigns in the past,
Yeah.
one of my favourite things to do was to find Nakhon Pathom next to Bangkok and just sit on the river line there, and you could hold the Japanese there forever. Like like hold Malaya, push them out, and then hold the position next to Bangkok, and then win the campaign. Effectively, was the
and if you go there now, it's actually plains.
yes. So now it's a little bit more difficult to hold this kind of position here, which I think was mountains in the past, if I remember correctly. I think there might have been some mountain terrain or hills.
I don't remember, but it definitely was different terrain because pretty much all this area was like either jungle or mountains.
But there's still,
and in reality, it's not.
But there's still a really good little choke point just a little further up at Faye Faton and Kadadinki, where there's like a little bit of bad infrastructure, and then you got a 2 province spot. So there's still just next to Rangoon. So there's still a strong little choke point there, which is good.
you can still like form a decent defensive line there because there are still like mountains and jungle there, but not as much as it used to be because like this like big chunk of plains simply wasn't jungle. Like
yes,
yeah, it was like plains, not jungle.
You've
I
kind
don't know what else to say. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about the geography of kind of Burma, but from the looks of it, you've almost got like a little estuary around like Rangoon that kind of you've got like a river system here on relatively flat terrain in this part of the world, and then you've got like a jungle and things around it, slightly more deep inland. So it all makes sense. I think I honestly, I think the job on the map work is really good, and I think the idea of making it a more level playing ground for kind of for defender and attacker makes a lot of sense. So I can see why you've done it. Do you want to just touch a little bit on maybe some of the techs and things? Is there any thoughts you have on? Has there been any changes to kind of how attrition gets dealt with, or is there any plans on that?
Well, attrition specifically is tricky because it's one of those Hearts of Iron 3 things that we don't exactly know how it works. So I changed those values, but I'm not exactly sure if it will affect the game in any way. I changed them just in case. Yeah, but as far as tags go, like we also had to like adjust all the units. Statistics and technologies that revolve around technologies. I think the biggest change here. Hold on, let me quickly browse through them.
Oh, that's okay.
Actually, no. Like the balance of those is more or less the same as it used to be. The main change is simply like adding those all those new terrain types and kind of tweaking the units so they fit the new terrains better. Like as I mentioned previously, mountaineers, for example.
So effectively, what you've done is because
Yeah.
for me, mountain units were kind of my all-terrain experts, right? So what we've done, or what you've done there, is you've now made them experts at hills and mountain specifically, and then you've made light infantry have a more of a niche for kind of all terrains.
Mountains, they actually got like slightly nerfed in hills. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, like not much. Just the gap between them and light infantry / normal infantry in the hills is smaller than it used to be.
But they'd still be the best unit for hills and mountains.
Yeah, they are still the best unit for those types of terrain.
And
so
then
if you want to, like min max, you have IC for that. Go with mountaineers for that.
okay, and then for like light infantry, kind of their purpose now is to kind of be the more like woods, that kind of stuff. Is that kind of the angle that you're going down for them?
Preferably, but it will most likely end up the same way as it always ends up with light infantry. At the end of the day, they will get slaughtered by normal infantry. So
yeah, well, you're trying to give them a niche, and that's a good thing. So
yeah, like I kind of don't want to like buff them because at the end of the day, it is light infantry. It was niche units, so.
So what is quite interesting, just looking at it as well, is the Soviet Union. Now I think we'll move on from this in a moment, but the Soviet Union is you've really replicated the kind of step of the Soviet Union, and the kind of plains feeling. It seems like it's gone through a fair amount of changes on that.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by the Soviet Union because everyone is used to the way how Soviet Union looks in the game, which is basically everything north from Pripyat marshes is like forest wood, and so on. I have to say I didn't have 100% accurate sources for how many forests and woods there were in Russia in 1930s. So some of this stuff might be wrong. Disclaimer. I'm not claiming that the terrain is like 100% accurate, but I was still surprised how little tree coverage there actually was.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, when you kind of read different history and different accounts from soldiers that fought in the Soviet Union, a lot of them talk about how depressing the large kind of expanse and empty space in front of them was, especially Germans from kind of more hilly, mountainous regions. How difficult it was to adapt to kind of the steppes. So it's definitely replicating that when you look at it on a map.
Yeah, exactly, and this also required some tweaks to Barbarossa difficulty settings, but more on that later.
Yeah, so do you want to just quickly touch on so there's a thing on here about text. Is there any specific text that you want to just draw attention to on that kind of map aspect?
Map aspects, technologies. Wait, which talking point are we talking about now?
The top one. You've said map textures, unit mods, jungle, and text.
Oh, this one. Okay. No, it was just related to overall text adjustment for new terrain types.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, there are like few tweaks. Like if I recall, all kind of like armored units, like tanks and stuff, will be now far worse in terrains like swamp, forest, and urban, and better in plains. Again, that's what's causing tiny Barbarossa issues because 3/4 of Russia is now plains.
Yes. So now there's a little bit of a buff there for Germany as a result.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do then is we'll move on to the next kind of major point. So the next one is IC decay and nerf. So I just want to really have a run through of kind of what we mean by that. So just as a starting point, when we talk about IC, everyone, we're talking about industrial capacity. That's what that acronym relates to. Now, what we're talking about in relation to IC decay is there is a practical associated with a lot of these different units and things. So if you build lots of destroyers, your country will get better at making destroyers and will build them for less cost and quicker. Now, I will pass over to you, OMG, now on kind of what that kind of comment means now.
Yeah, and over the last few years, like we did like many changes to like certain tags, unit costs, and stuff like that. There we introduced those factory technologies that reduce the cost of units and stuff like that, and all this kind of like snowballed and caused like small, okay, not so small, but bloating in the size of the armies. I actually have like numbers for you. Like I know it might not be
Well,
exciting.
no. Well, I mean, I
But
think all my viewers have heard me complain about save bloat and the amount of units that sometimes the Soviets or China or have had. So all the US to a lesser degree, but mainly the Soviets that I think were the number one culprits for this.
yeah, like I have the note here somewhere. Yeah, I'll give you like a quick example. In version 10.33, so okay, a few years ago, but
Yep.
that's exactly the point. Germany, for example, on very hard and Grofas difficulty, like very hard lobby plus Grofas.
Yep. So
for
the
more
highest
difficulty.
difficulty level.
Yeah, had like 2,700 brigades.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Right now, we reduced it to. Hold on, where is it? Test Grofas to less than 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it applies to everything, and we reduced it in kind of basic way. Now IC efficiency will be subject to the same decay mechanics as all technologies affecting units. So over the course of the entire game, IC efficiency will be like gradually lowered a little bit by like tiny fraction of 1% every few months, but after like 10 years it simply adds up. And the system is basically the same as for units tech decay. So there are like some technologies in industry tab or construction that give IC efficiency.
Yeah.
And those tags will simply like balance this. Of course, if you don't research them, then your IC will efficiency will drop even more. So you have to research those technologies. But yeah, like the result of that is that armies are generally smaller.
Okay.
Like starting ones are obviously untouched. Those
Yeah.
are like more or less historical, so we don't touch them. But both AI and player can simply build less stuff during the game. Like also base IC efficiency, I think I lowered it by like 5%. So you even start with less. The only thing we did was like adjusting the cost of buildings, because buildings are not an issue here. Like the amount of units was, so you can still like build pretty much the same amount of AA radars, IC, stuff like that, ports, air bases, whatever.
What about resource buildings?
All buildings have had their cost like adjusted for those changes. So I actually did test it like a few weeks ago. On normal, the cost of IC building is pretty much the same as it was before that. So as USA or Russia or any country that you have to build some amount of IC at the beginning of the game, nothing changes for you in that regard. What will change for you is how many units you will be able to build with that IC that you've built.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a byproduct of this then really is that your units that you have existing become even more important, because any losses that you take, if you get any divisions that get overrun, for example, it's not as easy now to replace those as it was previously. The only question I had was, does the IC nerf impact players more than the AI, or is the kind of AI impacted in the same way that a human player would be?
I'm not exactly sure yet, because I haven't played full campaign with this change, so I can't really tell. But the goal is to affect both equally.
Okay, so because that's really where the spam problem comes, is the AI Soviets. They're the kind of masters of kind of this, and they need that to a degree, because the AI just isn't good enough at a tactical level to match a human being yet. Maybe one day, but right now, it's not. So therefore, building units is the thing that they do. Is it a bit like it? From in an ideal world, how long do you want kind of it to take to pump out units? Because in one of my campaigns, it was less than 30 days for the Soviet Union to produce an armored unit.
Oh, it's gone. Something like this is gone.
Okay.
Right now I'm actually. Let's go to that Barbarossa rebalance thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm doing it for like a week now, and
are we done kind of with IC? We've kind of talked, haven't we, through kind of the major change?
Yeah, because like there's not much more to it, to be honest. Like, it's a big change in terms of like overall game balance.
But it's one of those things that's a little bit under the surface, isn't it? So
yeah, it's actually to fully grasp
you got to play
how it works. Yeah, you actually have to play.
Yeah. So we'll move on from that one. So
yeah,
we will just talk a little bit about Barbarossa then, because it kind of flows neatly into that, my kind of line of inquiry. So let's move on into that section then.
Yeah. That failed Barbarossa hangs over you, my boy.
Well, you know what?
I need to mock you about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, you can. Yeah. I mean, what I would say is it was entirely my own fault for not realizing about air power. So the moment that I redid the campaign and put more into air power, then things changed. I mean, the only thing I would say is doing Germany with Navy and doing Germany to be able to beat the Soviet Union at the same time doesn't seem possible, because that's what people wanted in that campaign, was to do something more Navy based. But
here's the thing, Germany tried to do a little bit of Navy in real life, and guess what happened?
Exactly. Look, I'm not going to disagree with that. I guess the thing is, if you go naval Germany, I guess you just don't invade the Soviet Union, do you?
That's interesting, like idea for a campaign.
Well, I know, I'm thinking about it now. See,
who's gonna do it first?
Yeah, well, maybe one day, but that that I guess is what you would end up doing, isn't it? You just wouldn't invade the Soviet Union, keep the pact with them, and because I assume until you take London, right, the Soviets won't attack you. So I think if you take London, do the Soviets attack you? I think
it's not exactly London. It's like any port in UK, if I recall, or like few ports. I actually don't remember how it's written in LUA. So
might be worth just finding out, because then what I'm saying is it might give more options if you were to kind of maybe make it London or a couple of and pick a couple. But yeah, Barbarossa. Sorry, let me shut up.
So. Currently, I'm at the stage of tweaking AI versus AI. So obviously, it will be slightly different for AI versus player. But right now, Russia doesn't have like anything that allows them to build troops, as you said, in like 30 days or something like that. I'm not saying it won't happen, because player Barbarossa is vastly different. For one single reason: player tends to destroy divisions. Like overrun encirclements and stuff like that. So AI Russia might actually need those bonuses, allowing them to spam units so quickly. But I won't allow them to spam them to the extent that it was in the previous version, because it was too much. And to be honest, I was a bit annoyed with it. And when you came to me with like, it's a bit too much, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see the logic behind that, and frustration, because like we kind of want to, be the Barbarossa to be difficult, but not, and maybe a little bit frustrating, but not to the point that fuck this game and Alt F4. And sometimes it was like that, especially with that. I think you pointed that out. Not the rambling video, the other one.
I think what it was like, you take out kind of 4 million troops, right? And then, in that particular campaign, I took out that many troops, but within about a month and a half, they were all replenished. And the Soviets did replenish in real life, but that was mainly from
historically accurate.
but not in a month and a half. That's the thing. It took a bit longer. It took until the winter before they kind of got there. So I think that was really what it was. I mean, the thing is, in the most recent campaign I'm playing, by the time this video goes up, it'll have finished. But I do beat the Soviets in once I've redone things. So even in that version, even me, an average mediocre person, can beat the Soviet Union. It's just a case of it was a different set of plans to what I originally had envisioned.
What month did you defeated them?
It was just it was so I defeated them without taking Moscow, and
Okay.
and
I'll fix that.
it was early 1942. It was early in 42, but I had to go all the way. So I had every single victory province up to the Ural Mountains, pretty much. I'd reached like Ufa and Perm, like that. So literally all the provinces, like Kubyshayev and Kazan and Saratov, Stalingrad, everything else had been taken. I just hadn't taken Moscow. It was encircled. So, I think, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I don't think you have to change anything on that, because, I had pushed them all the way to the mountain line, and encircled Moscow wouldn't be, I think, the deciding factor in that case.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so, and I also picked, a decision at the start that lowers their national unity by, like, 15, and...
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yeah, and I killed, I think, Stalin and Molotov, and all the national unity debuffs. Effectively, I got all of them. So
yeah, if you go like that, you don't have to capture one of the big three cities.
Yeah,
like Stalingrad, Moscow, or Leningrad.
But no, it sounds like a step in the right direction to do a little bit of balancing on that, and feeds in with the IC stuff.
They might need more troops initially, rather than mindless spam later.
Yeah.
Just to keep that balance a little bit, but
that wouldn't be the end of the world, would it?
Yeah, but it might need after initial release, one or two versions of tweaking to fully get it right, because everyone has slightly different experiences, everyone plays on different difficulty settings, so it's kind of hard to get
to
it
gauge
right
until you get true feedback. So that's fair enough. So moving on from that one, then the last kind of major point that we have to talk about is a bit on training laws, and a note here that says harsh reinforcement. So do you want to start with the training laws, like back to old comment?
So
I will go to the training laws. And
let's go to training laws.
They're the old four.
Yeah, it's the old thingy. We got rid of the old of the current training system for one reason, to be honest. what this system completely negated was that IRL problem of like, you know, the war is dragging on, we suffer losses, we can't train our replacements the way we did during peacetime. Like, you know, the training regimes, the training programs have to be shortened. Like, we can't, like, you know, keep, I don't know, recruit pilots in the training for like, you know, 150 days.
A little bit like in Band of Brothers, where at the end of the series they start getting the new draftees in, and you know,
kind of like that. You know, something that, you know, killed Kido Butai. They, you know, they tried to train their pilots like, you know, the way they did in like, you know, 38. They couldn't because attrition and, you know, stuff like that. And the current system that, you know, from the live version completely negated that, because once you build your unit as specialist unit, it was always specialist. It might lose like combat experience. Worst thing can happen to your unit than using some combat experience. And I actually caught myself not paying attention to that at all. Like, you know, when it comes to like dealing with like, you know, what should go where, what unit I should use to attack somewhere or something like that, it stopped like crossing my mind completely. Like, you know, having highly trained units, like I'm highly experienced unit, was like, whatever, like just send them to die. Because it simply doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when the unit reinforced, it was still like, you know, specialist trained unit, which made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, so there's no way of representing like losses and kind of the loss of experienced NCOs, for example, from a division in tough combat. So you've gone back to the old system to kind of simplify it back down again.
Yeah, simplify, but at the same time, the penalties are much harsher for replacements. Like, I don't know if you remember old values, but specialist training had like, you know, repair speed. This one affects units, if anyone is like wondering, not buildings. Had, if I recall, plus like 15%.
Yeah. So that repair speed is that?
I mean minus.
Yeah. So that repair speed one there at minus 60. What exactly does that impact? Is that the time to reinforce a unit when we say repair speed? So if
it's in red, so it's slower.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. No, I understand how pluses and minuses work.
In this game, it's sometimes weird. But basically, currently the difference is hold on. Specialist training has like minus 60%.
Yeah, so you've got a minus 60, and then you've got a repair speed plus 20 on minimal. So, you know, you've got an 80% swing there between minimal to specialist. So, so just quickly then, you know, I can see here on like basic training, right? You get a little bit of money, a little bit of starting experience, and a small amount of officer recruitment. Whereas on specialist, you get a minus 20% money and a 20% additional recruit time. Are we saying that kind of in peacetime, it would be better to kind of pick the unit recruit time, you know, the one that doesn't increase that recruit time by 20%? Because, you know, those buffs, if you were to go to war, right, and then switch it to specialist training, do you just get that flat 10% on your units and that combat movement speed the moment that you select that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's really no other way of like, you know, doing that apart from, let me think. Okay, we can make it that, you know, it will like kick in after a few months, for example. Maybe it should be done like that. Same with organization and stuff like that.
Well, I'm just wondering, just because, do you know what I mean? Right now, there's no incentive to be on specialist really at peacetime, because that bit of starting experience isn't really probably worth the.
To be honest, maybe it can even be done.
We're not here to troubleshoot things, by the way, everyone watching.
I know. But, but you know, feedback is
Yeah.
is feedback. We actually can make it so it gives like slightly different bonuses during peacetime and during wartime.
Maybe
Like
that's the way to go about it, really. Like
yeah,
to,
like so for example, like you know, balance it in a way that specialist training is the way to go during peacetime.
but then
During
basic
wartime,
training, you drop down
yeah,
to
starts to
basic.
be an issue. Like you know, something like this, kind of like reversal of
That's what I'm thinking, like a reversal of those traits, because then in specialist training in peacetime, because that's how it would be, and then in wartime, you drop your training levels, as maybe the war gets worse and you're more stretched. But
yeah, but that's like you know just a build up stage. Then we get to war, and you suffer losses. And
yeah,
we have, as we mentioned previously, there's a big difference in repair speed between minimal training and specialist training.
yes,
What those percentages translate into is basically when you have unit reinforcing from 0 to 100 with minimal training, it will take like you know there are like few other things that affect that, like you know some like strategic effects, you know
So
stuff like
just
that.
in real terms, okay, just to put it in like a day
Yeah,
convention. So
it,
if it was like it took 100 days to reinforce from 0 to 100, on minimal training it's going to take 90 days because it's a 10% less time. Whereas on a specialist training regime with the 60% debuff, it's going to take another like 160 or 170 odd days on the percentages basis.
so it's even worse than that.
Oh, okay, wow, interesting.
Yeah, because from 0 to 100 on minimal training, it takes like slightly less than a month to reinforce.
Yep.
And on specialist, it was slightly over 3 months.
Okay, so it's
So
sizable
it's
then.
like,
It's a big
yeah,
impact.
yeah, it's a big impact, and I think it should be
No, it
because
should be.
yeah, no country basically stayed on specialist training during wartime, and in situations when they tried, they failed.
So
Like
so
I already mentioned Japan, for example. Like you know,
so what that means then, just for kind of viewers at home, is on
for player,
your IC screen you have the reinforcement section, don't you? So if you're on specialist, you're generally going to have more IC and more IC days spent in that
uh,
reinforcement tab. Is that kind of what we're saying?
not exactly more IC. The amount of IC will be the same, but for far longer.
Yeah, so like
And
the IC days, like the actual
yeah,
IC, yeah.
I see days will be far higher, and but what's even worse, well, your units are reinforcing slower. So if you suffer like you know big losses in the battle, then it will take like you know month 2 or 3 for those units to like reinforce even from like I don't know 70% of strength. It will
Okay.
take like a month. Yeah, so
So you've got to be a little bit more careful with your battles actually now in relation to the terrain, because
uh,
if you pick a battle in a really, swamp or something, and you start losing loads of people, that unit's going to be combat ineffective for much longer if you stay on specialist.
yeah, you can obviously switch to let's say basic, but you
Yeah.
know here the kind of game limitations kick in. It affects everything like your air units, naval units, and all that. Nothing we can do about that. I tried.
Well, it's just one of those
Yeah,
limitations, isn't it?
yeah, like we can't have like
We can't have nice things, is what you're telling me.
yeah we can't have nice things. Like they didn't thought about training different branches of the army differently, of the military differently.
And guess what?
So
They still don't. Well done, Hearts of Iron 4.
oh seriously? Tell me you're joking.
Not yeah, equipment for different branches and things, but the training regimens aren't on. There's not a lot of detail there, but anyway,
Oh,
I digress. So
yeah,
that
as we
really
often do.
that really covers then, isn't it? Like kind of how the training laws have kind of gone back to old. There's still maybe some tweaks to happen on that. Is kind of what we're thinking, but
Yeah, as we like you know noticed already, like
yeah.
there, yeah, stuff like this can be done basically to all training laws, I think. Like, but I'll have to like sit down and think about that a little bit. So
Okay, so now we're kind of moving on now into there's a little bit now on kind of some smaller changes, and I think we'll just kind of go through these step by step, and we won't spend an overly long time on them, and maybe I'll rattle some through, and then you stop me if you think they're interesting or not. Okay?
Yeah, I will stop you like already before you even mention the first one.
Yes. Okay.
We have like more Japanese and Italy general leaders.
Okay.
Actually, I have like wrote on Dev Team channel a few days ago. He's also doing a big rework of Soviet leaders, and apparently he has over 4,000 pictures of Soviet generals to upload.
Oh
So,
no! What about my great clone army?
well,
he's,
it's gone.
he's creating an army of clones.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm sorry.
What about China? Can I still have a clone army in China? Because that was great fun.
Yeah, I think he didn't touch China.
Ah, good. Well, there we go, everyone. If we want another clone series, we can do one in China. That'll be the way to go. Okay, perfect. So I'll rattle through some of these then. So tweaks to custom trade AI. I'm assuming that is what it says on the tin, but is that in relation to the fact that AIs will actually do some trades for other than like money?
No, that's custom trade that you can do in the utility.
Oh, the utility thing. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yes. It will work a little bit better now. Unfortunately, Dave would be the one to.
That's fine. We can move it on. You know, I don't mind. So Jap no allies. So Japan starts with no allies.
No, those are not those are like not notes for myself. So there was this like annoying as hell bug that at some point Japan was like joining the allies like yeah. So this one is fixed. It's kind of big one because it can like screw up the entire game sometimes. Yeah. So
I haven't actually seen that happen. To be fair, I haven't had Japan join the allies.
No, it doesn't happen to people who can defeat Japan fast enough. Like it usually happens to people who are like incompetent and stuff like that.
Okay. If you're one of the incompetent people, please leave a comment on this website.
Donate to my Patreon and subscribe
for more insults. Please go along here. So AA and HAA buff. So is this a bit of a reversal of the debuffs that happened to kind of AA and heavy AA a little while ago? Because I think it did get debuffed a little while ago.
Yes and no. Heavy AA got nerfed. Like its soft attack got reduced by a lot because with that tech, double purpose AA, it was OP and it was a must-have for everything.
Yeah, it was a must-have in my divisions. Let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it had good hard attack. It had nice soft attack.
Piercing.
Yeah. So it was like jack of all trades, which I absolutely hated. But soft attack got like rebuffed again a little bit because like AI was used in soft attack role. It was used against infantry by everyone on all fronts on every possible occasion.
The 20mm flat gun was an effective.
And it was super effective. Like if you are an infantryman, the last thing you want to see is like double or quadruple barreled 20mm facing down the street, like
Yeah.
Like just no.
Would be hell. So that's had a buff, has it? Just to kind of readdress that a little bit. Has the has the tech the dual purpose tech had any change on it as well as part of
that? No. I think I only let me actually click on. Sorry, my throat is dry.
No, that's okay. Don't you worry.
I'm talking too much. I'm not used to talking that much.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, it's your fault.
You have a beautiful voice.
I know. Anyway, no, I don't think I touched the +1, +3. Yeah, I don't think dual purpose tech was changed. I think we only changed the base values.
Okay, so the next
Yeah.
three I'm gonna do together because, well, I'm gonna skip one, but I'm gonna do artillery rebalance, engineer rebalance, and recon rebalance. I'm gonna kind of list those all together. So is that
Yeah,
a
because you don't know what CA stands for.
well? I know what CA stands for, but I was just ignoring that because that's a naval unit, isn't it?
No,
Oh, combined
combined arms.
arms. See,
Yeah.
well, that's an easy mistake to make. I mean, CA is also heavy
No, in the
cruisers.
context, it's like artillery engineers recon. Why would
I thought
heavy
that I
cruisers
thought
be
that you just decided to put heavy cruisers in the middle to fuck with me, you know.
leave the thinking to smarter ones.
Right. So anyway, so your engineer rebalance and your recon rebalance and your artillery rebalance, and then we'll put combined arms at the end. So, like, is that a
We can't because artillery and combined are linked together. Go to
okay?
production tab, go to division.
Yep.
You see fire support.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have artillery. The localizations aren't there yet, so don't pay attention to that. Heavy artillery and mobile artillery. So artillery, like different types of artillery will be different combined arms groups now. Artillery will be normal artillery, pack artillery, and rocket artillery. Heavy is medium and heavy.
Yep.
I know it's not exactly like, I don't want to make those names too long. And mobile is obviously all kinds of mobile, all kinds. We have two, artillery and rocket artillery, yeah. This is for two reasons, mainly. One, everyone on the team loves rocket artillery.
I mean,
But
everyone does love rocket artillery.
Yeah, but the problem is that comparing to normal artillery, it's shit.
Okay.
There's not a single reason to use it. And there's also another problem with it. There's no way of making it useful without making it basically a copy of normal artillery.
Okay.
Yeah, like we can like the current attempt was to give it like lower terrain bonuses but higher soft attack.
Is it still cheaper than normal?
Yes, it's still cheaper, but the problem with this is like that. It's cheaper, so you would think that it might be good for minors, for example.
Yeah.
But as a minor, if you go rocket artillery, you still need to research normal artillery because you have all those units that you start with or all those units that you build before you actually got to rocket artillery, which is like, entire 4 years of build-up before war. So you can't really ignore normal artillery, but on top of that, you have extra technologies to research. So even though it's cheaper IC-wise, it's more expensive leadership-wise. Not by much, because those are literally like, two technologies, and one of them is like every 3 years, but it still counts. So, and as majors, you build medium artillery anyway. You don't care about the cost as Germany, Soviet Russia, or any other major. So yeah, now, and historically rocket artillery was also used by everyone, well, because it was good. In the game, there was absolutely no reason to use it. Now there is, because you can simply combine rocket artillery with medium artillery, for example. Something that was, done all the time.
Yeah. So
in
you can
real life.
effectively make firepower divisions.
And now you can also make those divisions that Soviet Russia loved, the artillery divisions that had like, basically lots of artillery. And they might actually, well, obviously they won't like work if you put like, 4 artillery brigades, but putting 2 or even 3 for like, 1 mobile, 1 heavy and 1 light actually might make some sense, some logic behind it, and stuff like that was used. So let's make it possible. In the
So
game.
effectively, the combined arms aspect of this is that we've added another effectively combined arms option, which is to have more artillery in a division. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Yeah, now imagine defending against like garrisons in mountains with artillery and heavy artillery. That would be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult to punch through. So
Yeah.
then, following on from that, then how does like the engineers and the recon now work in relation to this?
To be honest, I should note those together because they are like one is affecting the other. So currently, both engineers had both high defensiveness and high toughness.
Yes.
Armor, like Recon, had low defensiveness and high toughness. It was mostly like focused on offense.
Yeah. Yes.
So basically, what I did, I know it might not exactly be like fully realistic stuff like that, but for the game balance purposes, engineers will be now focusing more on defense. So they have high defensiveness. Higher than they used to have because they can build trenches, like basic fortifications, stuff like that.
Yeah.
While Recon is unit focused on offense because you recon stuff, you know where to attack.
Okay.
Idea.
So so effectively.
Because, sorry, because I also noticed that I stopped using recon units. Like,
well,
completely.
I was about to say I barely use them. I normally selected recon and engineers in my support units, my mixed or motorized, and then scrapped, one or both depending on what I needed.
Well, I kept engineers because I absolutely hated every situation in which my divisions didn't have them and I had to cross the river. It was pure misery. But now, if you want like purely offensive divisions, let's say Ukraine or northern France,
yes.
then you will have to pick your battles. Like you go with engineers or recon. Like you want to cross the river, or you want to go fast, and have good toughness. Like you won't be able to have both anymore.
Effectively, you're gonna have breakthrough units, which you could have a fair amount of artillery in with engineers that would be good for rivers and breaking through, and then you've got exploitation divisions that are gonna gotta go fast.
Yeah.
Sonic,
yeah.
Sanic. You have Sanic divisions.
Zoomies division.
Yeah, the Zoomy division. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm pretty sure that at some point, it's like some meta will develop that will, ignore both of them.
I don't suppose you're going to buff the speeds of transport units, are you? Because they're
No.
always like the actual transport unit itself is often the slowest part of my divisions, which
Yeah, but it gives the highest bonuses.
I know it gives the highest bonuses, but why can't it just be at least the same speed as like, if it's motorized and it's like I don't know the truck one, right? Why can't it be the same speed as the motorized unit?
Why you do this?
Well, I'm just saying. Why is my truck less fast than my light tank?
How to dismiss you now?
It's logical.
Let me think how that would affect the division.
Anyway, just one to think about.
Yeah, I would have to lower the speed of half trucks then, because those should be slower than trucks, I think.
Well, they should be. This is what confuses me because your mechanized like half tracks are quicker than your trucks, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't looked at that ever.
Well, I'm here to help. I'm here to.
Space bit. Yeah, let's change them and worry about that later.
Yeah. Okay. So so just moving on from there, then we've got the LUA ratio tweaks now. I don't know what that's in relation
to. What country would focus on what units?
Okay, so the UK will focus more on naval.
It's like slight tweaks. Like UK, for example, tend to build like some battleships for some reason, stuff like that. The biggest problem here actually was USA that was
Wah
kind of weak.
wah.
Yeah, was kind of weak in like version or two ago, and I was like, I wasn't exactly sure why, but then I noticed that it builds like heaps of IC initially, but then until the war starts, like half of that IC is unused.
Yeah.
It's actually wasting it. So and the problem with USA is that whether we like it or not, it has to start with gigantic army. I mean, start the war like in 1941. Like, I know it's not realistic, it's not what happened in real life, but for gameplay reasons, it has to have those 20 carriers.
They get rolled otherwise. That's the problem.
Yeah, otherwise it's like if not for sorry, if not for like my own like house rules when I play single player games, I would like YOLO invade them in like 1939 and just claim all the IC that they have for myself, and I would like win the game like that. Because previously it was possible, because yeah, cool, they had like 2000 IC, but they were still sitting on those like 15 starting divisions.
Yeah.
It would be like that one multiplayer game that we had. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's an interesting one here. Turret casemate vehicles. Now I did spot a tech in Armour 2, which is casemate armored vehicles and turreted armored vehicles. So
it's like different. Some countries went for turreted
like assault and tank destroyers, whereas others went for whereas some of them went for casemate, which is just like one solid piece of metal.
Yeah, it's like, as you can see, it doesn't give like huge bonuses. It's mostly for like flavor, stuff like that. Like like, oh, I have like actual Stugs, and it's not like locked for countries, which will like mess up with models, because you can, as Germany, go with turreted vehicles and still have Stugs and stuff like that. So, well, sorry if your immersion dies there.
Well, I'm sure everyone will quickly get over it. The only thing I was going to say is on that is the toughness decrease on casemate vehicles is interesting.
Yeah, I was actually like wondering if it's like correct thing, but my approach was this: like, during attack, having a turret gives like much more flexibility and tactical advantage.
Oh, I see.
And,
yeah.
And having to turn your vehicle to to fire at something that you just spotted, that was that is camouflaged, and reaction time is actually important, might affect how tough you are in gameplay.
You might need to slap a debuff on the turreted one, because right now there's a debuff on the casemate one, but
and
no debuff on the turreted one, which means you're always going to pick the turreted one.
But casemate reduces build cost a little bit.
I know it reduces build cost, but like a straight bonus, like
for turret, what could be penalty for?
Well, you could put the build time up a tiny bit, the build cost just a tiny bit, because then it's the opposite, right?
By default, it is 1% higher, because it's another tech that affects the unit, so it's not visible, but
Okay, so it is 1% higher. Okay.
Yeah, and the cost reduction in casemate armored vehicles tech already what's the term? Has that 1% calculated into those values.
Okay.
Because, yeah, like 0.53 on assault gun alone would be a lot.
Okay.
Like, if it wouldn't work like that.
Perfect. So moving on to like the next one then. Bank for international settlements
option to pick like big investment, small investment, or like medium one, because everyone was always going with the maximum one, because everyone always had enough supplies to click that, and it was no-brainer for anyone. So first thing that is gone is 2 different versions for majors and minors. All use the same thing. The costs are different. Minors still have lower cost, but the benefits are the same. It was done simply to not, gimp minors even more they already have like hard time. It's not like it will like change the game for miners, obviously, but like it's just one less kick in the nuts for them. And the main thing is that you still have 3 options to pick. Well, technically speaking 4, because the 4th one is like I don't want any of the other 3. You can invest in banking, industry, or research, and each one of them gives like kind of obvious bonuses. Banking will give the bonus to money generation, industry into IC, and research to leadership. So you can pick whatever you currently need. So yeah.
And I'm just bringing up that decision on screen just quickly, just while you're talking about it, just to kind of show what we've got in there.
Yeah.
So we've got science investment, industry investment, and banking investment, and then we can see.
Sorry, the bonuses still need like some tweaking, because as you can probably see, the industry currently is the best one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But hey, it's something. So that's interesting. Okay. So I will click not worth it for the only time ever. And so if we now look at law requirements for techs and minister tweaks.
Another thing that kind of annoyed me since always was like I'll give the specific example of like what was bothering me. So you know how like USA had the best radars at the beginning of the war, and basically through the course of the entire war, and Japan started installing radars on their ships in like I don't know, like late 42, early 43, something like that.
Yep.
Like I think Yamato was actually the first Japanese ship that was actually built with radar, not like retrofitted with one.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. But and the reason for that was simply that Japan had like smaller like research base. Let's call it like that. They had like weaker economy to invest in all kinds of research. So it's kind of crude way of doing that, but it will probably get like fine-tuned in upcoming versions. So now let's go to click on electronics, maybe, like since we were talking about radar.
Yep.
If you go to radar, you can see that have the country flag, large education investment law, massive, or electronic specialist minister.
Yeah.
So basically, to be able to research radar tech, you need to go to politics and make sure that you are sitting on massive or large education investment. And those already have slightly higher money penalties. I'm thinking about adding other penalties, like I don't know, reduced manpower, like something that could like make it difficult to sit on maximum investment if you are like poor country or stuff.
Well,
like that.
I mean, I've every major I've ever played, I've never not played on massive education investment. I mean,
Yeah, because you never clicked minimal to have more IC.
Well, I've just never done that because I value leadership. That's I like making all the research things go boop. I like the sound that it makes.
Skill issue. Anyway, yeah. So there are like many technologies. I can't really tell you like from the top of my head which ones, but as you can see, pretty much all radars are like that. And you need like either that investment or specialist in certain area. Which will make the science ministers a bit more useful, I hope. They got buffed too, which the next point was talking about.
Yeah, so let's if we then segue into that, so we've got, for example, as in the UK campaign here, we've got Robert Watson Watt, who is an electronics specialist. So if we were to select him and go on to minimal training, we would still be able to do the radar tech because we'd have an electronic specialist minister in place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So for like, I'm pretty sure there will be like like this like 1 or 2 years when you can like pull that off, sitting on minimal training with some specialist and still like tech rush certain technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. And then
Yeah.
kind of as part of that, like the Minster tweaks, is that what that's in relation to? So they've just improved some of them. So for example, the one that I'm looking at here, Neville Chamberlain, who is a laissez-faire capitalist, now has a 90% monetary bonus rather than a 75% monetary bonus.
Yeah. Some got buffed, some got nerfed.
Yeah.
Like
Neville Chamberlain.
Like, yeah, he deserved a buff. He postponed the war.
He's got to get buffed. Get the steroids.
Yeah.
Right.
I honestly don't remember exactly the changes I made. There are like mostly money related. Like, sorry, like I already mentioned, science ministers. All of them have their like money penalty reduced, simply because the education investment laws got their costs increased. So kind of to like balance that out a little bit. And many ministers have like money bonuses increased because balance. Fucking hell. You're destroying my throat. Boy, I just realized how that sounded. Cut that out.
That's staying in.
I know.
But I will move us along then. So
Yeah.
I'll do a couple at the same time. So we've already talked about the AI not wasting ICs US. So we've already done that. But just looking at fixed starting ship build times and AA for ships, do we want to just quickly highlight those two things? So, the building time thing seems fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah, like they're obviously not historically accurate because the build times are different in the game than they were in real life, but they're proportional. So, for example, if like some ship was like 20% done on January 1st, 1936, it's roughly 20% done in the production queue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
That's all there is to it. For all countries, obviously.
That's fine. And then AA for ships, is that like a rebalancing of AA?
It is, because another thing that kind of bothered me is the fast battleships, mostly by USA, were kind of used as AA support for CV fleets.
Yep.
While in the game, you just didn't do that. Like there was, even if you had like some fast battleships, you weren't do that because why would you? Like it was completely pointless.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, because AA of battleships wasn't that high, when in reality, like AA of battleships, especially American ones, was mind-blowing.
Well, it was their entire reason, at the end of the war, like literally the two things they did was AA cover and shore bombardment.
Yeah, and so basically what I did was like just buffing AA of battleships a little bit, and proportionally nerfing AA of other type of ships. I actually like checked like how much AA like average cruiser had versus average battleship, and like kind of proportionally tweak that. Anti-air cruisers, of course, are still very good. Like carriers are slightly worse than they used to be, but still like second best after battleships, because CAG's technologies offer like small AA bonus. Yeah. So
okay, and then we've got some new unique techs. So
just go to special tech tab.
Oh.
We have SAS, we have quick firing 17-pounder. Hedgehog now actually is available only to UK.
Brilliant, because it should be it's a UK thing, god damn it.
Well, Americans used them on like 3 or 4 ships, like just.
I don't suppose you want to add the pom pom gun for me as well, do you?
No, because it was shit.
Hey now.
I can add it. It will actually reduce the AI options.
Hey, it wasn't that bad. No, fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. It
Fair.
just had short range. That's
Yeah,
it.
that was its problem. But you know that
Makes
I
sense.
mean, there's a lot of different techs here. That's cool. The quick
Oh, oh,
firing
oh, oh, oh.
17-pounder. God, I can feel
One
the
big thing.
British. I can feel the British rising up inside me. You know, seeing a quick
Oh yeah,
firing
I actually had
17-pounder.
the problem with that one because it's like I couldn't give it like armor piercing, which it should have. But if I do, or maybe we can. No, but I couldn't give it armor piercing. I'll stand by it
Okay.
because it was used basically only on Firefly.
Okay.
Yeah, and they built like 5,000 or 6,000 of those.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, out of all the types of tanks built in UK and USA, which is probably easily over 100,000 tanks.
Oh, easily.
And yeah, and it would upgrade all of them to being Fireflies, which
Oh God,
makes no sense.
beautiful.
But I shut up. It's not. But I have an idea. It can be unit event spawned armored brigade. It will be obviously player only because AI won't know what to do with a single brigade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be like that you simply get let's say 5 brigades of tanks for certain costs that will have this technology and will be basically Sherman Fireflies.
That sounds cool for a British player.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about doing some of technologies like that because there are like other ideas that we didn't throw in exactly for that reason. There was like some unique unit that was amazing, but there were 3 of them built or something like that, and there's no way of representing that in the game. Well, maybe if with unit spawned, event spawned units, it would make sense.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And another big one, like the old one, but changed, P-51 Mustang. Go to it.
Oh, okay.
Why at first glance it looks like it doesn't make sense, but it does. So previously it was increasing the range of interceptor and fighter bomber by
whereas what you're doing is you're improving the air attack to represent escort forces for light bombers, mediums, because
exactly.
they can't go as far as those units. So you made the units themselves better.
Yeah. So the range of interceptors for Americans will stay the same because
Yeah.
it also caused a problem. Interceptors had like 900 something kilometers range, historical, more or less historical range of
Yeah.
P-51, which in the game caused the player and AI to be able to intercept the enemy planes 1,000 kilometer away.
Yeah, like literally, I'm just showing this in the screen, but from Dover, that's literally to Poland.
Show me a single intercept mission performed by something else than P-38 like that during war.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the range at which they intercepted Yamamoto. Might be 1,000 kilometers, I'm not sure. But nothing that was like P-51 ever performed intercept mission at those distances. There was simply no technology to coordinate stuff like that, so it made absolutely no sense. So yeah, now it simply represents the escort of light, medium, and heavy bombers.
Okay, and then one last thing then is something I asked about, a buff to blitzkrieg.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that, and yeah, you were basically right on this one. Which I once you pointed it out, I started thinking about that, and I was actually trying to remember when was the last time I actually researched advanced training centers technology and the 2 consecutive ones. And I can tell you exactly when. It was in that multiplayer game that I played Germany, and Gezu was still playing with us.
Wow, so it's a long time ago.
It was like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, and since then I haven't touched those or Pack Front and Panzer Kill. Like I haven't touched those.
Yeah,
those,
I've never touched those at the bottom either.
Now, as you can see, they are slightly better.
Yeah.
They give like higher bonus to heart attack for pack front and defensiveness, and also increase direct fire combined arms. The game displays is at 0, but it's like less than 1% per tech level. So
Yeah.
it's displayed as 0.
And are you doing anything with like the tank crews training and like because the soft attack and hard attack bonuses I can see there, but
it also gives armored combined arms bonus now, and those values are a bit higher. I'm thinking what else can be done with this technology without making it, kind of too similar to other ones.
And then quickly, Kampfgruppe. First of all, Kampfgruppe's still got a spelling error in it. But the
Kampfgruppe.
Kampfgruppe, like Kampffrappe. The battle coffee.
Yeah.
But I'm just like you just don't get many, like I know it's buffing mixed support and things, but like is there anything between that tech and like the operational techs where for like combined arms coordination, where maybe you could put more combined arms in the game to make them a little bit more worthwhile, like the actual little unit brigade things?
One thing that I still need to do with that technology is like, where is blitzkrieg here? Is lower the starting date to like, let's say 38.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Because 1940, it's like for me, it's halfway through the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Show off. Yeah, I know. But like, one thing, even now, it's really strong tech, because it increased combined arms by 1%
Yeah, which is a lot. Which is a lot,
because it basically translates like once you add like OB generals on top of that, it translates to 1.3% per tech level. So it's a lot on top of the one from operating tech tab.
Yeah.
So I might also reduce maybe combined arms integration can stay 1940.
I just don't know whether or not, with Gurkhas, right? You can build like a certain number of Gurkha units.
Yeah.
Like I know you wouldn't necessarily build Kampfgruppe, like that's not exactly how it should be, but maybe it would be nice if you could build like, do you know what I mean? Like a set amount of them as Germany, like, the same amount as maybe Gurkha units, and have them in the thing.
Wait, are Gurkhas actually buildable?
Yeah, they're buildable in the UK.
That's an oversight.
I can't remember when you. Oh, actually, maybe they were buildable and they're not anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think I made them.
Because they used to be, and you used to be able to only build a certain amount. They were like special forces.
Gurkha brigades.
It's worth checking.
They are buildable. Hold on, they require country flag. Let me check if you actually get this country flag at any point. Oh, you don't. So they're not. Actually not be buildable. Yeah.
So maybe you don't get them anymore. Maybe I'm just thinking of an old version.
Yeah, just with like events and stuff.
Yeah, but
oh no, actually, holy. Okay, they are buildable once you are at war.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. I
don't think you can build many, but what I'm wondering is like, is there it's a tough one. It's just to make Kampfgruppe, because the Germans used it so much. It's a shame that you can't do it more. Because Because like one of my favorite things to do is to take the Kampfgruppe 88 from the Spanish Civil War and just make a mega fast unit with the guy that fought in the Spanish Civil War that gets that like Spanish medal. Just have him as a commander of it.
Yeah, von Thoma.
Yeah, and do something fun with that. But anyway, it's just a thought, you know.
To be honest, now that you mention it, I will do two things to Kampfgruppe unit. One thing, I'll make them permanent.
Yeah.
Like screw historical accuracy in that regard.
I think that would be better because right now it's a random roll of the dice, like on how long they last for, and it makes you not want to use them. You know.
Yeah, it makes me want to exploit them. Actually, let's not openly say how, but like you know. What
okay. I know.
And so I'll actually make them permanent, and they might actually need a buff too, because properly organized armored support brigade is actually better than Kampfgruppe.
Yeah, maybe they need a buff. But anyway, just a thought on that. But yeah, you know, I'm glad Blitzkrieg is getting a bit of love because I felt like it lacked a little bit. It was
it was. I don't want to say it was shit because certain bonuses were
good. I mean, some of the bonuses are really good. It's just that when I compare it to like Grand Battle, where literally every tech on here is pretty decent. Like
Grand Battle is like, you know, wet dream basically.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like Blitzkrieg, there were techs on here. I was like, ugh, why would I ever do that? Like, you know, you gonna buff any of the air ones? Or in fact, it looks like they have been buffed. Good.
Pay attention.
I'm looking. I can see. Yeah. I just clicked on them. Right. Well, that's
quite good. Huh?
Well, that's good. That makes me happy as well because now I'm not looking enviously at the deep battle ones, going, why is air support on here better than my one on as Germany? Right. No. Well, that's really good. Is there anything else that you wanna go over?
I'll stick with that blitzkrieg for a minute because that Kampfgruppe. If you go to brigade command structure technology, it also buffs like, you know, combined arms and mixed support
yes
groups. Yeah, so it makes, you know, for Germany at least, it makes those like even stronger, even like, you know. So you get more than 100% bonus to combined arms comparing to other countries that do not have blitzkrieg doctrine. So those brigades will be really strong for you.
Okay, that's good then. You know, that's what we like to see. Right. I think that's everything. Unless there's anything else that you want to go over.
Let me think quickly. No technology, no production, not really. I think that's it.
Okay. So you haven't got a kind of definitive go live date in mind, have you, yet for this?
No, because of, you know, Herv going with those thousands of Soviet leaders and me kind of falling into like Barbarossa rework thingy. It might take at least a few more weeks. He actually like said that, you know, he won't be able to finish it before Christmas. If I'm lucky and something like, you know, like blocks fall into like, you know, their holes fast enough with Barbarossa, I will actually help him with those pictures. So it might be, who knows, maybe it will be around Christmas. But right now I would say like, you know, January.
Well, what we will do is I will put this video live around Christmas. So to everyone watching, this will be going live at Christmas time. So I'll wish you a Merry Christmas now. I just want to say a big thank you to you, OMG, for joining me for this. I think, you know, the last time we did one of these, it was, I think, a very well received video and kind of everyone that watched it had nothing but nice comments to say. So I'm hoping this time around you'll get some enjoyment from it as well. What we'll do is in the kind of description, I will try and break down the time slots for kind of each part of this discussion to make it a little bit more easier for you all to digest kind of as we go. But as a lot kind of parting thing from me, please go and subscribe to OMG's channel and please check out the Patreon for Black Ice as well if you do want to donate towards the mod.
Keep money.
Yes, you get money. which would be very well, I think, received. But I will kind of leave it there. OMG, any kind of closing thoughts?
Yeah, did good finally. Come on.
Well, you know, I like playing like a semi-retarded hamster. So let's I'll keep doing it my way, and you can keep doing it yours. Right then.
Fun.
Yes, exactly. That's the main thing that we want to do. So thank you very much for watching this video, everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.